Alright, what's up lobotomites and playwrights? Welcome to another video on the Sammy Whammy YouTube channel. This is another storytime video of the time I did something kind of illegal. I used to train hop. Yeah. You probably read the title of the video, and that's basically what it is. It's just illegally, hopping on train cars that aren't, passenger cars. And yeah, it's pretty illegal. There are mainly two types of people who do this, like hobos/homeless people, or number two, awesome people like me, who just wanted to go on a good adventure. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I've only done this twice just because it's a scary ass thing. You have to go through a lot to get in and out of this whole shit, and it's a lot of work. Now, I did a lot of this in 2020 when the world was shut down and I didn't have much else to do. Plus, I had some connections with a couple people who did it a lot. And since I was chill with them, really chill, they just let me hop aboard one day and let me have fun. Now, lockdown was pretty cool for me just because my school was very laid back. Basically, we didn't need any Zoom classes or anything. The teachers would literally just post their assignments and tell us to do them and submit them, and then they'd also post notes or whatever in case we got a little stressed. Now, Zoom and other video calling platforms were an option for students who needed some extra help from the teacher. Being fucking Jimmy Neutron, I didn't need any help from my teachers and I could get my assignments done without their help. But basically what I'm trying to get at is that school was very easy for me and I could get my work done in only an hour or two, for the entire day. Sometimes some teachers posted their assignments and stuff for the entire week on Monday, so I could just get it all done on that one day, just have 4 days all to myself. Now, because of all this free time, I found myself doing a bunch of cool stuff, whether hanging outside with friends or hanging out inside playing a bunch of video games with friends. Basically, my friends didn't really give a shit about the lockdown things, all the regulations or whatever. We just didn't care. We went to each other's houses. We had a bunch of fun. It was awesome. And even though the country was technically shut down, completely locked down, I feel like I had more freedom than ever just because it was completely empty everywhere. So we could just do whatever we wanted. Which is why I don't understand why so many people hate this era so much, because honestly, it was so much fun, at least for me. If you didn't go outside, that means you were just too scared to. It's not like anyone was fucking patrolling the streets watching anyone who was outside their houses. But basically, any opportunity that I had to hang out outside with my friends, I just took gladly. So this is where the train hopping comes in. Being a genius at school, I was put in a bunch of classes with people older than me, so I got to hang out with a bunch of older people. And this was autumn 2020 specifically, which meant that I was 16. And these two people were 17, one of them was 18. Now, I didn't know these people just because they rode trains. I actually knew them. They were people at my school. It was just a hobby that they liked doing. Now, I had hung out with them prior to this whole thing, so yeah. Basically, they liked me because I was pretty chill and I was down to do a lot of stuff, pretty spontaneous, especially during this time. So they hit me up in a text one day saying, "Yo, fuck it, you want to hang out with us one day?" I'm just like, oh shit, you want me to ride trains with you? Yo, that sounds like the dopest idea. So of course I couldn't turn that offer down. I obviously said yeah. So they basically just told me a day and time. They were like, Saturday, be there at 5. And I was like, 5 a.m. or 5 p.m? And they were like, a.m. And I was like, fuck. Reminder, this is lockdown, and I also have insomnia, so I was just trying to be how the fuck do I work my, sleeping and being awake time kind of, around this? I don't want to feel sleepy with them, but I also don't want to be super fucking awake and feel like shit with them. Now, I'm just gonna speed run. I got to work out. I woke up at 4:30 on Saturday morning, just fucking took the car over to their place, and I just was like, yo guys, I'm here, and they're like, fuck yeah. So I'm asking how the fuck do we pull this off? How are we supposed to do this? Now, if you're a troglodyte with no logic, I just want to tell you, this takes a lot of planning, and you've got to be very, very concentrated on it. You don't want to fuck it up. Let's just say if you get caught in Ontario, they can fine you $200 for being on private property. I think they can charge you up to a few thousand, but they barely ever go over 200. They're not dicks. So basically, while they couldn't get their hands on all of the route plans of the trains, what they did have was multiple plans. Their number one choice was to hop on an IM car, which basically stands for intermodal car. Basically, they're these fat ass cars that hold a bunch of big ass containers on them. They usually stack them in stacks of 2. And the reason they liked it so much was because those cars had a lip that had a bunch of room in it that you could just kind of maneuver about. Basically, it's pretty much the most comfortable way to travel, as far as my experiences go. Another car that they were fine with traveling was a gondola, which are basically just flat ass cars. Basically, they're used to put a bunch of shit inside of them, just a bunch of random garbage and junk and stuff. And they're really fucking easy to hop on. There was one really big downside of riding them though, and that's that if the train got a little fast, that the dust and all the junk would just fly around and get in your face and mouth, and that'd just be fucking unfortunate. There were some other cars that they were totally fine with riding, but the two safest bets were those two that I already mentioned. Because realistically, it's not that hard to fucking like discern whether those particular two cars were safe or not. So those are basically the number two choices for the group. So two of the group wanted to show me around, the third one just didn't. I feel like a 3-person group is pretty much like the most you can do practically. I feel like if you get 4 or more, it just becomes some chaotic fuckfest trying to get on and off and all that. It'd be a lot to manage. Plus, with only 3 people, if one guy gets in trouble, then the other 2 can help him out. So I'm hanging out with the other 2 dudes. I'm just gonna call the main dude Alex and the other dude like Mike. Not leaking their real names just in case. No, Alex was pretty much the leader and Mike was like his right-hand man. Alex knew a lot and he's kind of the guy who brought everyone together, so that's pretty dope. So yeah, basically we were told to meet up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday. I don't know how he knew this, but basically they kind of come normally at Saturday morning, so I was like, that's pretty dope. So we hop into Alex's car, cruise over to some random place to park, and we snuck over to the train yard. The whole time, Alex and Mike are just scouting out which trains that they think they could hop on, things that we could take a chance with. And while all this shit's going on, my heartbeat is exponentially rising. I don't know if you guys ever have this feeling, but right before you do something big and spontaneous, something that you've never really done before, you're always like, hell yeah, I can't wait to do this. But right before you're about to do it, you're just like, maybe this isn't a good idea. I think I'm fucked. But it turned out fine. I'm still alive. So Mike finds an IM that we could sit in. So once we found that, we fucking Metal Geared our way around to find a good safe spot. We didn't want to go like immediately, just in case of like some dude came by and saw us. We didn't want to be like hiding out in the open for this long. The pro was it was still kind of dark outside, so you couldn't really see much, but the con was the lights were still on, because it was dark. So it's kind of hard to fucking ninja your way around. But basically, after like a long debate trying to figure out what we wanted to do, we ended up hopping onto the train after a little bit. The cool thing about an IM like bucket is that it's honestly pretty good size, so 3 people can easily like cram inside there like sardines and no one would really notice. The reason we hopped on when the train was at a standstill was just because they were kind of scared that I'd have an issue coming on when the train was just starting up. The thing is, when you're hopping on when the train's still like starting to move, like you kind of got to coordinate an attempt to get on and get all your buddies on at the same spot, just because obviously I don't want to be by myself and they didn't want to be too separated because, I don't know, they're friends and stuff. So whatever, basically the morning starts, the sun starts to rise and the train fucking fires up. And I just want to say, trains are so fucking like rumbly, dude. I knew that they would be rumbly, but holy fuck, I wasn't expecting to be inside of a fucking earthquake with a fucking 9 on the Richter scale. The train was moving pretty quick. Probably not that quick if I was in a car. Like, if I had to guess, it's probably just going like 30 mph. But yeah, basically we just hung out in there for a little bit, just had some fun. I don't know. The cool thing was, like, since we did have a lot of space, we just managed to maneuver about, relax, lay down, like not stand up, but we were like kind of crouching, grasping onto the sides of it, like just in case. Basically, it was fucking awesome. After maybe like 4 or 5 hours of just fucking around, the train stopped at some fucking other station. Mike quickly pulled out Google Maps to find out where we were, and Alex wanted to find out the perfect time to hop off. And as the train slowed down, Alex and Mike prepared me to fucking jump off, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if I want to do this. But yeah, I just fucking jump off. It was pretty awesome. The train was still moving. It was not going very quickly, but still, I was just kind of in a very scared mood that I like might, I don't know, roll an ankle or something. But it was absolutely exhilarating, and I survived. Alex and Mike are very cheerful when we hung out for a little bit. And Alex contacted one of his friends to fucking cruise over here and pick us up. So we hung out for a few hours just doing nothing, just hanging out for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Alex's friend pulls up in his fucking car. We hop in and we cruise back home. It was a fucking journey and it was awesome. And I did it again. The second time we rode a gondola and it was fucking awful. Basically, Alex always brings this big ass backpack with sunglasses and masks and a bunch of shit just in case. And like in that big ass backpack was all of our gear that we really needed. And since we were hopping on a gondola and we didn't want any like junk or dust or whatever to get in our face, we had to put on the sunglasses and mask just in case. And damn, was it a good thing that we were wearing those? Like, it was fucking chaotic. It looked like a fucking sandstorm was going on, a tornado, I don't know. We were on this one for like not much. We were only on there for like 3 hours. We stopped at some really small place and they fucking just hopped out, discarded the trash. Obviously for the second time we just hopped out when the train was still slowing down. That's pretty much the optimal way to fucking like leave, since everyone's just fucking staring at the train while it's actually stopped. But yeah, that trip was pretty fucking dope. Gondolas are much more fucking comfortable to sit in. It's because they have just like an absolute ginormous space you can sit in. The only downside was obviously the dust and all the junk. Basically it's just scrap metal was everywhere and it was just kind of uncomfortable. I may or may not have cut myself on a bunch of the metal several times. But in retrospect, it was so much fun and I'd love to do it again. Both of these adventures were a whole lot of fun. I loved both of them just because you could feel the wind blasting against your face, especially in the autumn weather. It just felt amazing. Especially the fucking gondola. Unlike the fucking IM, you had like cars everywhere. Like, you had a very narrow part where the gust could come through. The cool thing about the gondola was like you were sitting in a convertible. Wind would come at you at all sides and you had all the space in the world. I was just fucking sitting up with my head out the entire time. If you don't know, I've got pretty long hair and it was just fucking flying around my face. I couldn't see shit half the time. Plus I was wearing sunglasses. But yeah, it was fucking crazy. It was chaotic. It was very stressful at times. But once you managed to get on and you just could just sit around, relax all day and just have some fun, it's amazing. Now, would I advise any of you to do it? Probably not. I recommend if you go, you be like me and just go with a bunch of like really cool people. People who are like responsible and know what they're doing, who are actually smart with this sort of shit and know how trains work. One thing I neglected earlier is that some trains have like no bottom or whatever, and it's super fucking risky to try to like trapeze artist your way on the train without risking falling onto the wheels and getting yourself fucking smashed. And that's 100% a no-no for Alex and Mike. We like to be safe around here, and if you can find a fucking car that has a bucket that's already filled in, like, it's just super relaxing and it's just fun. You can just lay out, have a fun day. Like, hell, one of them was fucking sleeping on the gondola, which I fucking blows my mind, because like I said earlier, it's like a 9 on the Richter scale. Shit's rumbling and bumbling everywhere. I guess you get used to it after being on it for a couple hours. It's kind of like in those old like Hanna-Barbera cartoons when a character walks out as like some chaotic shaky thing, and even though like they're on solid ground and they're not getting like shaked up, like the character keeps shaking around like they're super used to it. I'm going to be honest, that's how I felt both times after I got off the train. But yeah, it was a super cool thing. It's one of my favorite things I've ever fucking done. And you should try it if you're 100% knowledgeable of how to do it, or if you've got someone who's like super good at it and has like some years of experience under their belt. But yeah, shout out to Alex and Mike for being fucking goats and providing me with some amazing experience during lockdown that I'll never forget. So yeah, thanks guys for watching this video. The video's pretty much done right now. It's time for the end of video rambling section. I feel like the channel's starting to enter like a bit of a slump again. Like the channel had the spike and now it's starting to slow down and taper off. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not too like sad by it or anything. I wasn't really expecting to grow big anyway. Even though if you go back in the old videos and just see me like, blow it up, make me out of the YouTube hood. Like I was just trying, like, you know, I was like, this is not gonna go anywhere. Like, seriously. Until like 2.5 weeks into the fucking thing, and all of a sudden I have 100 subscribers and like 3K views. Fuck, it's kind of intimidating sometimes. Even though I'm not trying to grow big, it's super fucking cool to see that sort of shit happen. And low-key, I hope it happens again. Also, I hope you enjoy the System Shock gameplay. I feel like this is like a horror game, even though it's like the least horror you could possibly go with a horror game. It's basically Cry of Fear, but not scary, even though there is some pretty cool stuff in this game. Like, there's some points where you have, like, hallucinations. One of the coolest things about it is that there's, like, AI is taunting you and a bunch of shit. It's pretty fucking dope. Unironically, one of the greatest games in fucking video game history. Check it out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Sammy Whammy. Peace.